Welcome to the Selling Show, where we unpack, repack, and break down exactly how top experts sell their ideas, their value, and their services. This is your host, David Newman, and you are in the right place if you want better clients, bigger deals, and higher fees. You know, the whole internet thing with like websites and search engine optimization and automation and CRMs and emails. And isn't that all just disgusting and confusing and hard and painful? No. As a matter of fact, it's not. And it doesn't have to be, because we've got the FroBro himself right here, Jeffro. And we're going to talk about how he got a one-word name on LinkedIn, because I really want to find that answer. But please welcome Jeffro.
Thanks, David. I'm excited to be here. I'm looking forward to our conversation.
So at this point, just again, if people are not necessarily tuned into the video here, I have very little to no hair, and you have this amazing, abundant hairstyle. Tell us about the Jeffro story. I know it's on your website. For people that have not gone there yet, how did this identity come to you? And give us a little bit of a professional backstory along the way as well.
Sure. Well, my name's Jeff. I have a fro. That's where the nickname Jeffro comes from. But I didn't always start with that. I used to have a crew cut, just a flat top when I was younger, because it was easy. I didn't know what to ask for. I'd go to the barber shop. $5, give me a crew cut, right? And I'd put butch wax in it. And I didn't know that my hair was curly. My mom had for a long time been telling me, hey, you should grow out your hair. So finally I did one summer. I think it was between sophomore and junior years of high school. I grew it out, and it turns out I have really thick, curly hair that everyone is jealous of and thinks is amazing somehow. So it kind of stuck. People started calling me Jeffro, and it really caught people's attention. And I noticed that, before I could be ignored in the hallways, but now people had never met before would be reaching out, trying to feel my hair. And so it was a conversation starter, made me stand out. And, that obviously feels good, especially to a kid in high school and in college too. Like, just having that identity around a way of standing out really, was appealing. And so I stuck with it, and it became part of me.
Totally amazing. And just to be clear, because the website is FroBro.com, you do not have a brother that is involved in the business, do you?
No, not right now. I do have two brothers. I did have one of them working with me on the business for a little while, helping with some sales calls. Right now, he's not. But the name FroBro actually comes from when I was in college. I was a resident advisor in the dorms, and there was another RA he also had a fro. It was a smaller fro, but he dubbed us FroBros. And so that's where the name FroBro came from.
Really, really great. Well, tell us a little bit about the professional backstory. What are some of the interesting pit stops along the way that brought you to the work that you're doing today? And then we'll talk about the work that you're doing today.
Sure. So my background has always been towards computers and computer science. I've always been drawn to them as a kid. We had computer lab growing up in school. I was at the age where we had the Apple IIs, and we got to do Oregon Trail. We got to do a little bit of programming and some of that stuff. And so that was an early introduction to computers. I built computers in high school. I did projects on them in high school, and I just always knew I was going to work with computers. So I studied computer science at UC Irvine, focused on software systems, and I even did digital arts. Well, I started the digital arts minor. I didn't have time to finish all the classes, but I just loved anything and everything on computers, using them for creative things, Photoshop, video editing, everything. So that was the direction I went. I did start as a programmer, my career. I was doing cell phone games. I've worked on biometric software, toll road software. And at a certain point, I went to a startup. We were doing some networking stuff. And I did websites on the side for people, just because I know technology. I can build websites. People would ask me. And so I decided to make that more official. And so I started FroBro as my entity for creating websites, did that on the side. And the startup I was with started having some cash flow issues. So I just kind of shifted my attention over to FroBro and started turning it into an actual business instead of just a side thing. So I kind of moved beyond just websites to hosting and maintenance, and added in other services like SEO, because when a business owner says, I need a new website, they're really asking for more clients. And so The website is important. That's a starting point. We can discuss that. But if you don't do that right, there's no point paying for ads or anything and sending people to a crummy website, because that's just a waste of money. So that's kind of where it started. And it's just grown from there. We've added on additional services. And right now we focus on working with service business owners and helping them be represented online the best way possible.
Awesome. Totally, totally great. Let's talk just, we'll clean the slate. It is 2024, and the role of websites in a professional small business, because you hear all kinds of crazy nonsense out there. It's like, no, you don't need a website. Everyone's one funnel away. Just build some landing pages and build some opt-ins and do ads. And your main website, dude, that is so 2009. No one goes to your website. No one cares about your website. Your website's just this old, antiquated relic, say some people, with whom I violently disagree. And I think you do as well. And then other people say, oh, the website, it's a cash machine. It's your main central hub. All roads lead to the website. So somewhere in between, the website is completely irrelevant, and that is so 2009, or you are going to live or die by the quality and the mechanics and the functionality of this one thing known as your website. Somewhere in between there must be some objective reality. Jeffro, what is, in your opinion, and with your clients that work with you, where do you take that, it's totally irrelevant and, everything else is about your personal brand and funnel pages, ads, omnipresence, all of this, versus old school website is your online home and everything good flows from that?
It is so interesting to hear the different opinions on that, but I will agree with you that websites are not irrelevant. They're very important to a business. And at the same time, I will say there are different ways of using a website. So if your goal for your website is simply to be a portfolio, okay, then we're going to approach that a little bit differently than we are for someone whose goal is to get more leads from the website. And if you want your website to be found organically on search engines, okay, now we need to have SEO in mind and think about the content that we're putting on the website, the keywords that we're targeting. And so a website can serve multiple purposes. If you want it to help prospective buyers and investors and existing members have a portal, okay, you might have different areas on your site, and you're going to have to think about how to direct those people to the areas of their site when they arrive. But to just say that websites are irrelevant is very lazy, I think, because in the back of our minds, we all know how we conduct business with others. We know that we check the website before you hire someone. And so why would you expect that someone else isn't doing the same thing to you? And you need to take that effort to build a website to make sure that you're putting your best foot forward. This is your first impression. This is your digital billboard to the world, your storefront, right? For someone who's never met you, they don't get to walk by on the street corner, but they do get to see you on your Google search or however you get in front of them. They click on it and they check you out. They judge you. They do. We all do this. Yeah. So it's why you have to invest in it and do it right and spend that time. Even if it feels hard, you're like, well, I don't know how I'm different. Well, you better spend the time to figure that out. Because otherwise, if you don't know, they don't know, and there's no reason they're going to hire you.
Are you loving this interview as much as I am? Holy smokes. Hey, you know what this reminds me of? There's a fantastic sales book that you got to get your hands on right here, right now. It's called Do It Selling. How do I know it's great? Well, I wrote it, and you need to read it. Pop over right now to doitselling.com. Now, back to our interview. The number one thing that I hear from people, and maybe you've heard this as well, is we're talking about digital presence, we're talking about websites, and people go, no, David, you don't understand. 100% of my business is word of mouth. 100% of my business is referral. I say, okay, great. So Sally tells Bob that you have an awesome service, you have an awesome firm, that you totally need to do business. When Sally tells Bob that you are the greatest thing since sliced bread, Bob is probably going to take out his phone right then and there, not even wait till he gets home, and go, what's the website? Oh, and that second impression, maybe not the first impression, because the first impression was a positive referral, but I guarantee you, if your website sucks, it's broken, it's funky, it's out of date, God forbid it's not functional or it's not mobile first, they're going to look at that website and they're going to get that scrunchy face kind of like the scrunched up kind of face and the eyes kind of squinting and going, huh, are you sure? Is this the website? And they're going to hold it up. They're going to hold it up to that person.
Right.
Two bad things have just happened. Number one, the person who was supposed to be your stand them up, knock them down, 100% shoe-in referral now has doubts because of your crappy website. And the person referring you has lost relationship capital because you are a much better business owner and you run a much better business and have a much greater service than your website would indicate. So now that poor person who tried to refer you, they've got egg on their face. So this is my impassioned plea to people who are listening going, I don't need a website. My website's from 2017. My website's perfectly fine. No one looks at my website. All my business is word of mouth. All my business is referral. Yes, and a sucky website is still going to cost you business. So let's go through the whole FroBro process, because you said something also very important, that the website is more than just a digital storefront. There's strategy that goes into it. There's messaging that goes into it. There's copy that goes into it. There's search engine optimization and what terms and what language are people looking for when they're looking for a service or a company like yours. So take us back. Let's rewind the tape. Someone just signs up, says, Jeffro, this makes so much sense. I know our website's out of date. It's not functioning. It doesn't have good messaging. It doesn't have good functionality as far as bringing people in, as far as lead flow. We need to start from square zero. What is square zero, and how shall we start thinking about a brand new website or a majorly revised website?
Great question. So I usually ask my clients to ask two questions about their website. So number one is, who is this website for? Right, like I alluded to. And then number two, what do I want people to do when they get to my website? So those are very important things to define right off the bat so that we know how to build a website that accomplishes that goal. So if we want someone to schedule an appointment, okay, that's going to be in the back of our mind as we're building these pages, as we're placing buttons or designing the menu. We want that to be the action that people end up taking. So once we know that, then we go through a couple of forms where I ask lots of questions about their ideal target customer. Who are they? What industry are they in? Demographics? What do they care about? What are they scared of? And we kind of build this profile on who they like to work with and who their customers are, because the messaging is arguably the most important part of an effective business website, especially if you want it to drive sales in any form or appointments. So once we understand that customer, then we can start writing copy for the homepage. We usually start with the homepage to make sure we're getting the big picture right. Typically on a homepage, you know, that first heading needs to be very clear, and it has to immediately connect with that target prospect who arrives at that page so that they keep reading. They read that first headline. That job of that headline is to get them to read the subheadline. Next job is to read the paragraph after that. Keep them moving down the page. Show them that you understand who they are, what they care about, and that you have a way to help them. So getting crystal clear on that is very important, and that's why we do that first. Once we've gotten that messaging dialed in, then we can start writing copy for the other pages, and then we can start building a design around this messaging that we've created. And a lot of people go about this backwards. They start by going to a theme library, picking out a template, and okay, this looks kind of cool. And then they shoehorn in some phrases that, okay, they gave me one line here for this top header section. I guess I'll put in one line here, but that's not helping you. You're not being as intentional with that messaging. So you don't want to kind of shoot yourself in the foot. It's better to start with the messaging and then build the space around it so that the design supports that messaging, doesn't distract from it, doesn't limit it. And that way you're more likely to get to that goal that we talked about, where it's schedule the appointment. If all we're doing is poking at their pain points, highlighting ways we can help, showing reviews, how we helped somebody else, like as they go down the page, by the time they see the button for the third time, they're like, okay, I have no reason not to click this button. I would be dumb if I don't click this button. So that's the work that we do up front. And then we can build out the rest of the integrations on the back end. We can hook it up to your CRM or put in any forms or custom work. That's all well and good. Make it look good on the different screen sizes. That's important. Make it SEO ready. Of course, we do all that. But if you want it to work as a business tool, as a selling tool, you've got to get the messaging right first.
Yeah, absolutely. Tell me also a little bit about, we've heard this for the last, let's say, 4 or 5 years. Mobile first, mobile first, mobile first, mobile first. Most website visits, more than 50% now today, happen on a mobile device, whether that's a tablet or a smartphone, but it's not a big full screen desktop or laptop computer. How important is mobile first? Is most everything already kind of mobile first? Is that even a consideration when folks are talking to a web design expert like yourself?
It matters, but it depends again on what your goals are. So you mentioned about half of the websites, or over half, are now on mobile, but that's across all industries. In some industries and in some demographics, desktop is very clearly the winner. 90%. So if you're working with, maybe it's an older population or a certain type of industry that hasn't gone mobile at all, then you need to know that, and you should spend more time on the desktop version of your website. And so from a conversion perspective, maybe desktop is more important. Now, from a ranking perspective on Google and SEO, you do need to consider the fact that they want you to optimize your mobile website. And you should be doing that either way at this point, because even if you have a high percentage on desktop, you are always going to have somebody on mobile, and you want that impression to be good, whether it's on mobile or desktop, right? So you do need to spend the time to do it right. Most modern web designers will be doing this for you, making sure that it's good on mobile and desktop. Should be a responsive site that displays well. But the whole push of mobile first, I think, is really to kind of make sure it doesn't get overlooked, because what would happen is people would build this beautiful desktop website, they'd mock it up, they'd build it out, and then they look at it on the phone and it was just ugly. And it's kind of an afterthought to make it work. And either they would serve a different version, or they would just kind of squish some stuff or hide some things. The worst thing you can do from a loading performance perspective is duplicate content, because I see this a lot too, is people will build a page, they'll build a desktop element, and then they'll build a mobile element. They'll hide the mobile one on desktop, and they'll hide the desktop version on mobile. So you're seeing different versions of the same page, but the content is still loading in the background, because all you're doing is hiding it. And so you're making your page load more slowly. It's not a good user experience, and it makes it harder for maintainability as well. When you want to make changes, now you're making changes in two places instead of one, so you're more likely to make mistakes and miss things. So it's important, but yeah, knowing who your main focus is matters, and you can't ignore it either.
Really, really smart advice. Let me ask you about another consideration that some businesses may have more of a concern than others. So, like your business and mine, we have our personal brand, and then very close to it, we have our company brand. So, you perhaps more than me, because of course, the whole FroBro
Yes.
concept is specifically about you and your hair. But even if you go to our website, the Do It Marketing website, it's my big mug, bald, but still my big mug sitting there going, hey, you're in David Newman land. So in the world of professional services, where we have a consultant or an accountant or an attorney, where do you see the meshing of that person's personal brand and their business brand? And then what considerations need to go onto the website thinking even before the website design and implementation?
That's a great question. I think a lot of people have this clear delineation in their minds between who I am and who the business is. But for a lot of solopreneurs, like, you're one and the same, really. So you might as well leverage the fact that you're a real person who can connect with people, and you can do that much more effectively than a business can. And so by infusing your own personality into the business, you're going to connect with people much better. People tend to hire other people and not just a business. And so if they see you, they like you, they feel like, all right, I can trust this guy, he knows what he's doing, then you're going to hire my company because I've already passed the vibe check, so to speak, right? That's what it's about. So if I've spent the time building up my authority, you've seen my post, you're like, okay, it's no longer a hard sell really at that point, because they're already sold on me. Now they go to the business website, they're just reading about the services and the pricing and deciding which way to go. So it's no longer like I'm not forcing them to do something they don't want to do. It becomes way easier when you get to that point. So I don't know if that answered the question.
Yeah, no, I think you're right that it's definitely a consideration. And, just like the Fro helps you stand out, people kind of flying their freak flag. So I remember once I worked with a CPA who was a very avid amateur guitarist. And he played gigs in neighborhood bars and people like, oh, hey. And then another person, actually a good personal friend of mine from like 15, 20 years ago, did a lot of HR consulting and training work. And she was a stand-up comedian. And she invited her clients to her shows. And it was just a thing where they brought a personal passion or a personal skill into the workplace, and they made that very transparent. So if you were, following them on Facebook or LinkedIn or whatever, it could be some thought leadership type of post, or hey, come and see me down at the comedy club on Saturday at 9 p.m. or, watch me and my band, over here doing, an open mic thing at the bar. So that blending of personal and professional, I think, especially for that solo professional services provider, because otherwise you're just a clone, right? You're saying what everyone else is saying, you're doing what everyone else is doing, and there's no texture and there's no personality there. Let me talk about, I want to switch gears again and talk about not a 4-letter word, but a 3-letter word. The 3-letter word is ads. Ads, ADS, in my opinion, is almost as bad as a 4-letter word. There have been so many changes, and it's changing literally every day, every minute, with AI and all kinds of other safeguards and privacy and who knows what. It used to be, in the good old days, meaning take the clock back 5 years, we could do Google ads, we could do YouTube ads, we could do Facebook ads. And you sort of, if you know what you're doing, you could get a decent ROI. Maybe you're not burning the house down with amazing results, but it wasn't the crazy jigsaw puzzle that it is today. When a business owner comes to you, Jeffro, and says, listen, I definitely want leads and I'm really torn, we could do it organic / SEO, or we could pay to play. We could just turn on the ads machine. Talk to me about playing the long game and the short game at the same time, and how you advise clients on when and if to get involved in paid ads.
Great question. And this does come up all the time. So the first thing you have to consider is your budget. If you don't have a budget, then obviously you're not going to start paid ads yet. But I like that you highlighted the fact that there's a long game here and a short game. And the main contrast between ads and SEO is that ads, you could start getting leads today as soon as you turn them on. But the downside is, as soon as you turn them off, you stop getting leads. Whereas with SEO, you turn it on, you might not get leads until a few weeks later, maybe next month. But then after 6, 12 months, you turn it off, you're going to keep getting those leads because you've established your ranking for certain keywords if you do it right. So in a perfect world, you'd want to be doing both, really, to run some paid ads, to get in front of people now. This also allows you to test your landing pages, your headlines, to get better along the way. If you can't just put it up there and hope it works, right? You got to make changes, tweak things, test stuff, and it will get better over time. But do SEO in the background until it's at a place where you have that solidified ranking and that the amount of leads coming in from organic are comparable to the ads. And then you can decide, all right, do I even need to keep doing ads? All right, then you can save that money and just take the organic traffic and focus on that. So it comes down to your budget, your long-term view, because I think another problem is a lot of business owners get to this point of desperation where they're like, I need customers yesterday. And maybe they're willing to put some ads on a credit card this month, but if it doesn't work out, they're screwed. And that's not a good place to be coming from if you're going to be doing ads. So whether it's ads or SEO, you need to have a little bit of a longer term view to commit to it and make it worth it. Make sure you're optimizing your campaigns, because even with ads, there's no guarantee you'll get that lead today, right? You might get some impressions, that's what you're paying for. But even if they click through and your website's bad, okay, you got to work on fixing those conversions. And that just can take some time and iteration as you test stuff. So I'll say one last thing on this. The nice thing about having organic channels is that you can kind of test your creatives ahead of time, right? So if you post something, maybe you're posting every day, every week, and you notice one of them did really well, got a lot of engagement, people were sharing it. Okay, let's run that one as an ad. Put some money behind it, see how it does. And that way you're saving some of the upfront money on the ad campaigns of testing using your own pocketbook and just kind of testing the water with the organic leads. And now you have a better chance of that first one doing well so that acts as a jumping off point for going forward with the ads.
I'm curious, going back to SEO for a moment. I think when some business owners hear about search engine optimization, creating content, creating articles, creating blogs, because we're not just optimizing the static pages, right? This is an ongoing thing. where we're
Right.
also publishing content geared to certain keywords. The question they're probably asking in their head, Jeffro, is okay, in theory, that all sounds great. I definitely want to hire someone that knows what they're doing. But wait a minute, I'm not a writer. I'm not going to sign up for, we need 3 articles a month, David Newman. It's like, I don't have time to do 3 articles a month. And I'm not sure what I'm doing. And so tell us about the SEO strategy and then the actual hands on who's posting that content, who's creating that content. Is the business owner involved? Is their voice involved in creating that content? And again, 2024 update, SEO is not what it was 5 years ago, even 2 years ago with AI now. What is the state of SEO and how much work is involved on the business owner's part?
It is an ongoing process. So that's number one. You have to realize that if you're going to do SEO, it's not a magic bullet. It's not going to be suddenly, oh, I'm on page 1 now, because a lot of our agencies try to promise that. And you should be skeptical if they're promising you're going to be on page 1 next week or next month. Most likely what they're doing is going to make you rank for some obscure keyword that nobody is searching for, and that doesn't help you. So figuring out what you want to rank for is important. And a big part of that is figuring out where the confusion could come in. So for example, I've had a client that does exterior maintenance and cleaning, street sweeping, power washing, all of that. But if you type in, a house cleaner or building cleaner or something, that's different. Some people are looking for a maid service and they get a power washing company. That's not the same thing. And so you need to make sure the keywords you're optimizing for are actually getting the people that you want to see. And so that's a big part of SEO now, is doing negative keywords, saying, okay, Google, this is what I want to rank for, but just not these ones over here. That comes into play with ads. But getting hyper-focused on that, getting more long-tail keywords, that just means more specific phrases. A keyword isn't just one word. It can be a whole key phrase. So ranking in a specific area, and now I'm starting to ramble, but let me try and bring it back. The other aspect of, you asked about the business owner being involved. Yeah. The business owner can be involved, can be another employee. And if you have a good partner or agency, they can write content for you and you can maybe just approve it. Some people try to use ChatGPT to write content. I say you can use that as a helpful tool, but don't just copy paste whatever ChatGPT gives you. You still have to review it. You have to make sure it's accurate and it's not making up stats and things. But in the long run, if you want to have a ranking that's going to stay in that top position, you need to be putting your own thoughts into it. And that is where the business owner comes into play, because ChatGPT is not going to have original opinions, but you are, because you're the one doing this work. That's what's going to make good content that's relevant and that people are going to share. And over time, that's what's going to win. Because right now, there's going to be a ton of people just pumping out AI written content, trying to, game the search engines and get these rankings. But over time, it's going to be the ones that are thoughtfully written by humans with meaningful, helpful information that are going to ultimately win out, in my opinion.
Holy smokes, so much value in this episode. Listen, if you are loving what you're hearing, feel free to download, subscribe, tell a friend, leave a review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you're listening to The Selling Show. Now, back to the interview. And it's funny about AI, there's so much. I mean, it's on one hand, it's this amazingly powerful tool that is at our fingertips. And of course, on the other negative side is it could be Terminator 2 and they're going to, just kill us and eat us for breakfast. And somewhere in between there, the search engine companies and Google among the, first and foremost, they're very much, and you're obviously on the front lines of this, but I'm guessing that they are really putting some demarcation around detecting AI generated content that is purely copied and pasted out of all of these different AI text tools versus what is really more organic, more human, more natural language, not robotic natural language. Do you see that separating kind of the wheat from the chaff, that the people that are right now trying to jump on the AI gravy train, especially with SEO, they're going to be sort of, it's almost like the black hat version of, the old days when there was like good practices, white hat, bad practices, banned practices that would actually harm your search rankings. And now AI is part of that formula. Do you see that happening?
Well, you kind of touched on two things here. So when you're talking about black hat tactics and things, I'd say stop trying to trick Google. They're a big company. They're very smart. They figure this stuff out. They tweak their algorithm. We've seen it over and over. And if all you were doing was keyword stuffing, that's not going to last very long. And that's not a long-term strategy to make a scalable, business off of. So that's number one, focus on quality. And then number two is I don't think Google's going to be wasting effort determining what was AI written and what was human written. They're going to stay focused on the quality of the content. What do people like and respond to and share, regardless of how it was written? Is this good content? Because Google, their goal is to provide the best results to people using their search engine. And so they don't care if it was written by AI or not. But you, as a content creator, you can use AI as a helpful tool so you don't have to stare at a blank page. Maybe you're just editing now instead of starting from scratch. That can save you a lot of time, but you still need to have something valuable there. Otherwise, that content's not going to go anywhere. If you're the first one on a keyword, sure, it'll rank, but you're not going to stay the only one on that keyword. So you might as well spend some time making something good. And don't lean on ChatGPT as another get-rich-quick scheme. It's that mentality of, okay, now I don't have to do as much work. Yay. Well, no, that's not going to last very long. You've got to put in the work and make it good.
Amen. Amen times 10. We have two very important things to talk about before we wrap up. Number one is you have this very cool platform called FroBro Elevate. Want to talk about that? And then, of course, we have to talk about the Digital Dominance Podcast. But let's start with FroBro Elevate. What is that? How did that come into being? What problem are we solving with that platform?
So thank you for bringing that up. Elevate is an all-in-one CRM and business management platform. So I was frustrated because when I was running my business originally, I had 6 different accounts doing all different things. I had a Calendly link for scheduling. I had Pipedrive or CRM. I had Active Campaign for my email newsletter. I had Later or Buffer for scheduling my social media. And all of these are kind of glued together with Zapier. And most of the time it works, but there's limitations as to what I can move from one platform to the next. And they wanted to nickel and dime me like Active Campaign, for example, and MailChimp does this too. Once you hit 2,000 subscribers or whatever their number is, they want to charge you more money. And so this gets really expensive to maintain all of these accounts, very time intensive to make sure everything's working and not stepping on each other's toes, right? It all has to be working. Otherwise, if it breaks, your business suffers. I didn't like that. So Elevate, everything's in one platform. You get unlimited contacts regardless of what plan you're on. That was important to me. And you can take payments there. You can manage your contacts. You can manage your calendar. You can do your landing pages there. You can even set up automations. That's the other piece that makes this so powerful, is because these are all on one platform now, we add in the workflow automations. And so anything that happens, you can trigger other things to happen. So when someone schedules an appointment with me, I can now send them a sequence of emails. I can send them to a form. When they fill out that form, I can send something else. Depending on the answer in the form, I could send them a different thing, right? And so this is where online marketing becomes super powerful, because you can not only track all these things, you can customize the experience for different customers who are coming to your business. And if you wanted to set up a focused landing page funnel over here for contractors, okay, you can use different verbiage in those emails than over here if you're working with accountants, right? And so they feel like you know them, you can really focus on their particular needs and ultimately have a better experience for everybody. And it saves you time because you're not manually trying to keep up with all this follow-up and, oh, did I already send that email to that person? You don't need to worry about that anymore because it just happens while you're sleeping.
And I'm guessing that this is functionality that is for your customers that have both a website from you and their Elevate subscribers. That's a seamless connection on the back end, so that the website is really kind of the front end to this whole lead automation, lead nurturing, email subscription, appointment setting, sending out content, etc.
Yeah, any forms or calendar widgets that are created inside of Elevate can be embedded on any website platform. You can also build your website inside of Elevate, along with all your landing pages. And we have a funnel builder that's very similar to ClickFunnels, so you can do the same thing and have multiple steps. You can have people check out. You can do order upsells and bumps. And again, you can trigger things to happen on the back end. Once they buy a certain product, okay, you can send them the PDF that they paid for or lead them to something else. And so it's very powerful. You can use as much of it or as little as you want. And if you start at the lower tier, get all your contacts in there and start building out these processes one by one. If you come back next year and look at all the things that you've added and all the time that you've saved, it just keeps compounding. So it's a great platform and I really recommend it.
Yeah, really, really cool. Well, it sounds like that is also the platform that would lead you to digital dominance, which is the name of your podcast. So,
That's
talk to
right.
us a little bit about your adventures in podcasting and where the digital dominance podcast plays into all of this.
Sure. So part of my mission is to rid the world of terrible websites. And I like doing that with my clients, helping them have websites that are effective for their business. But I obviously can't build everyone's website. So a podcast is a way for me to teach others about making better websites, what matters, how to do this stuff. Some of the things we've talked about today, we're able to go into more detail in different episodes. And so that's why I started the podcast. And so anybody that has a service-based business can learn about digital marketing and getting their business online, getting more out of, running ads or SEO or what that means and how they can be aware of what to look for so they're not getting screwed. Because I know it can be intimidating when you hear everybody saying, oh, you got to be online, you got to be doing this, you got to be doing that. And it can be overwhelming. So that's my hope with the podcast, is to educate people. And yeah, you guys can check it out, digitaldominancepodcast.com.
Excellent. Well, as we're landing the plane, I know that our listeners are going to want to get connected and stay connected to more Jeffro brilliance. Where can we send people? What links will folks find in the show notes to connect with you?
You can connect with me on LinkedIn. If you search for Jeffro, I should come up. And if you go to FroBro.com, that's my main website. You can read all about the various services that I offer. And FroBro.com/dominate. Go there if you want me to do a free evaluation of your online presence. I'll take a look at your website and your profiles on social media and kind of give you feedback on what you can do to improve and next steps that I would recommend for improving that online presence and kind of heading towards digital dominance ultimately.
Very, very nice. Oh, and I forgot to ask. I promised I would ask, how do you get a one-word name on LinkedIn? Because on LinkedIn, you're just Jeffro, no last name. How do you do that? What's the secret?
Well, the secret is I have to put in a blank character in the last name, and LinkedIn doesn't want you to do that. So they've blocked just, the space character. But there are other blank characters besides the space on the keyboard, which most people don't realize. So you can paste that in there and then it lets it go through. The one drawback is I cannot, at least right now, I can't verify myself and get the little badge because it doesn't match my ID, but I'd rather be unique and stand out.
I don't know, dude. Talk to Bono, talk to Madonna, talk
Yeah,
to
exactly.
Cher, talk to Gaga. I mean, please, right? The one name people, they should be automatically verified.
I agree.
That's what I think. That's what I think. Well, such a
with
pleasure to have you on. You're a total rock star. Folks absolutely need to check out the audit, certainly the podcast, all of the wonderful things that you've wrapped into the Elevate platform. So much good stuff. I really appreciate you sharing your brilliance with us.
Thank you, David, for having me. It's been fun.
And that wraps up another episode of The Selling Show. Hey, tell you what, if you like us, rate us and review us on Apple Podcasts, subscribe, tell a friend, go grab the notes and downloads and extras at thesellingshow.com. See you next time.